There's a few key hurdles that Humacyte still has to overcome in order to gain FDA approval for our products and then to reach commercialization. One of those key hurdles we talked about this week in the TERMIS presentation. In that presentation, we talked about product that had been generated in our commercial scale system, which we had scaled out. We call that the Luna 200 system. And in the TERMIS presentation from this week, what we showed was that human acellular vessels, or HAVs, that we had made in this system actually functioned very well at 1 year in a cohort of 30 patients that we enrolled in what we call a crossover trial. Having these 1-year results that are consistent from a safety and efficacy standpoint with HAVs that have been manufactured in earlier, smaller systems is really an important validation for our commercial scale manufacturing. And it really de-risks a lot of the Humacyte story as a company. But I think in general, what's needed to take regenerative medicine therapies from the benchtop into the clinic is really a two-pronged approach. And one is a careful focus on the manufacturing with, as I mentioned earlier, a careful focus on identifying the key parameters that are going to impact cell behavior during the cell growth process, and then to take those factors and to very scrupulously scale them out so that as you're making more and more product, the cues that the cells are seeing are not changing with scale. But the second half of this challenge really lies with the clinical trials. As I've recommended to some of my colleagues, even in a phase 1-2 clinical trial where you're first in man with a particular regenerative medicine therapy, I think it's very important to design the trial so that you see not only safety, because most regenerative medicine products, in fact, are safe. But really, to propel you to the next level, it's incredibly helpful if you can build in some sort of efficacy signal into your early stage trials. By seeing some sort of efficacy in early stages, what that allows most companies to do is to raise further funding and allows them to progress on to later stage trials because you have a hint at this efficacy finding. So I think being careful about scale up and also being clever and careful about clinical trial design so that you get efficacy signals early can be incredibly important. And then I guess I would say the third thing is that as you design clinical trials and as you're designing your manufacturing process, talking to the FDA early and often can be an incredibly helpful and important thing. While the FDA will rarely tell you what to do, they will often nudge you and give you guidance as far as what types of approaches will be acceptable to the regulatory authorities.